This is a meeting on concussion and spinal cord injuries, cervical spine injuries especially, but also lumbar spine. Our topics today were on prevention of concussion. What works, what doesn't work, the importance of rules changes, taking the hits out of sports, especially youth sports, that is hits to the head, and if not taking them out, minimizing them, practicing sports differently so that you're not having as much full contact practice as has been the case in the past. There's no question that the importance of concussion has heightened dramatically since Ted Johnson came out with his story.
Training camp 2002, I was concussed for the second time within 4 days. That is what essentially that hit in practice in the summer of training camp of 02, where things changed for me. In the acute stage, it was, mental, physical fatigue. And so I never felt right that whole 2002 season. Something was off. I just wasn't myself. Playing middle linebacker, I initiated contact. I initiated the pain. But when it hurt me just as much, given the pain, as taking it, then I knew something was wrong. And I knew I was doing something to myself that could be damaging long term.
It impressed the commissioner, Goodell, immediately. When subsequently, for the first time, I had the opportunity to meet Commissioner Goodell, the very first thing out of his mouth was, "How's Ted?"
You can just tell there's, to a man, he's genuinely concerned about what's going on. I think it's evident by how much, kind of force he's given to, if it's Bounty Gate or whatever. He's doing the best he can. Now, some people might say it's an extreme kind of side he's taking, but maybe that's what's going to, sway the pendulum back to the middle, maybe where it needs to be. But at least get guys aware of their own mortality, that look, we're all in this thing together.
It wasn't the first time that I met Commissioner Goodell that we really got into a substantial talk, because that was more at a setting that was somewhat just a social greeting, other than asking how Ted was. But we had a sit-down hour-and-a-half session in the fall of 2009 when he asked me to come in and meet with him and discuss ways that we thought football could be made safer from the head standpoint. And it was very clear to me that he was searching for things that he could do to make the sport of professional football safer for his athletes.
There's this perception out there that, and trust me, we buy into it, that, we're the toughest guys. We're, people use the term gladiators, that we're, we don't have any problems. And I tell this story. I was friendly with a very famous author, and she would tell me when she'd go do book signings, she would get a table in front of her. They didn't want people to be able to reach out and touch her. They had an idea in their head what she was like as a person and an author, and she didn't want to ruin that in their head. Football players are no different. We don't want you guys to think that we have issues, we have problems. We want you to keep that perception that we are bigger than life. So we even buy into ourselves, and so a lot of guys are reluctant to even admit they have problems. And I think with Junior, he just, like saying pride comes before the fall. I think he just your pride and the shame of it. Because there's shame around this because it's called the invisible injury. You look at me, hey, Ted, you look okay. Well, what's wrong with you? When there's a lot going on, there's a lot more, and I don't really want you to know those things. And that was the undoing for Junior, I think, and it's sad. And I think if there was ever a tipping point in this whole issue, I think it was with what happened with Junior.
The component of these conferences that is so crucial is the education to the community, and it's all aspects of the folks that deal with athletes in sports. So we're thrilled by the attendees here. We have about 1/4 physicians, about 1/4 nurses and nurse practitioners who are often the first line of treatment, about 1/4 coaches and trainers, and psychologists and chiropractors, others who are interested. And I think anyone who's going to be dealing with an injured athlete needs to know about this topic. And perhaps an even more important group to reach out to is just family members, parents. After your injury, you go home, right? And if your family member doesn't know what's going on, then it's going to be hard for them to say, gee, my son's had a concussion or my daughter's had a concussion. Maybe that's another eye-opening thing, is how susceptible female athletes are.